Hi everyone. So welcome back to Uber vlog. Haven't done one in a while. Did post like about 18 Uber videos. Uh, it's been maybe probably like 4 or 5 months. So I've been driving Uber for 5 years, but this year's been really strange. You say it's strange, and I don't know what happened. Um, I was always out there giving a lot of trips, going after the bonuses, just grinding it out, and really treating people good. And I was really strategic, and I knew a lot about Uber. I'd given like close to 15,000 rides, and I think I was pretty lucky to give those rides, because if you look back, I had a lot of repair issues. We had phishing schemes where somebody would take our money. There's a lot of other things. We didn't have like gas cards before. We didn't get paid, uh, you know, right away. We had to wait. So say if you gave a ride on a Monday, the next week you could get a payout. But if you're operating on little resources, then it's hard. If you have like you need a fuel pump, or you need oil change, or you have car issues, you don't have gas, driving an expensive car like a BMW X5 or some type of Mercedes. If you use the wrong car, you're really going to struggle. The wear and tear is brutal, because I used an Uber lease for 3 years. 2016 Toyota Corolla, brand new off the lot, 5 miles off the lot, brand new car. I don't think I've ever driven a brand new car off the lot. And just less than 3 years later, that car was falling apart, almost 200,000 miles. And that was casual driving. I was driving 35% of the time that I could have driven with Uber. And that car fell apart. Like the transmission was going out. It was just driving like an old car. So imagine that. You go out and use your own car, a car that you love. You're like, I want to go drive Uber. And I'm going to drive this car because I love driving this car. And I just want to drive people around. I'm going to make a lot of money. Untrue. Untrue. You will destroy your car. You got to be very cautious when you're driving Uber. My best advice is to use one of those get around cars. And don't always be driving. Like, just know that the prices are going down, because they sent me a recent email and said that the prices are going to go down to $4 per hour or less, depending on the times. Because if it's like off times in the middle of the night, you could probably book a car for a lot cheaper. So we're looking at sometimes $3 an hour. So just imagine that you're using a car, has insurance, and you could book it and drive people, and you're not ruining your own car. It's somebody else's car that they're going to ruin eventually, because it's not worth it to have other people drive your car and make such little money. But if you have an extra car sitting around, and you feel like that you want to help people, so you got to be careful with the car you use for Uber, because all that wear and tear on your car, and you want to use your personal car, you're going to have challenges. You're going to have repair issues. I mean, if you fix the car the way you should, you're still going to have problems, because you're spending too much money to operate. You're spending money for gas, for insurance, for repairs. There's wear and tear on your car. Just really think about it. Really think about it. Like, write down everything, how much money I make, how much time I spend, and how much it costs to operate. Because there's something that happened with Uber that has kept me off the road, and I don't know what it is. Because we're in July, and I've given 7 trips. One night, $32. So we're into July. It's July 2nd today. And I've given 7 rides. I used a get around on that particular night And I can't even remember what night it was. Could have been back in March sometime. I just went out and gave 7 rides. Made $32. Spent $12. It wasn't really about, I was just trying to get back on the platform again. Because the thing is that on New Year's Eve, I had a car booked with Getaround. It was booked for the whole night. And then I got the flu that night. It was just a really strange night. I got the flu. There was some other conflict going on that night, and I ended up not retrieving the car, and there was bonuses. I could have made money. And I never went out there to drive. I think I had a fever. I slept the whole night, and that's been my theme the whole year. That no matter how hard I try to get back on Uber, try to get out there and drive again, that I haven't. And it's, this year's like more than halfway over. Well, actually it's halfway over. And I've given 7 trips. In most years, if you calculate how many trips I've given in the past, like on a good year, and we're looking at, say if you give like 100 trips a week, just think about it, 100 trips a week, that's 400 trips a month, and then for say 6 months, so 2,400 trips. And if you average like $10 a trip, because that's like the average really. There used to be a higher average when Uber had higher rates, when you can make more money and you didn't get all these little rides, or you didn't get these rides that there was no surging. You didn't get your, like good trips. Because I consider good trips, if you're in the Bay Area, the good trips are in San Francisco. They're in Marin. They're the ones that if you're in San Francisco and you're going far out, you're going to Sacramento, you're going to San Jose, you're going to Sunol, you're going somewhere far. Monterey, maybe Lake Tahoe. But if you're driving in the East Bay, there's not a lot of money to be made. Because in the East Bay, the rates are very cheap. And you'll know the difference. You could calculate it. You could see the breakdowns in the pricing. And you'll know per minute, per mile, you're not making a lot in the East Bay. And if you go hang around in the East Bay, pickup times are longer. It takes you longer to get to your client, and sometimes they're not ready. They could be in the wrong spot. Because a lot of times we can't expect for them to be responsible. Just like when you're doing DoorDash. When doing DoorDash, people, you could travel 25 minutes to go drop off their food, and then they won't even be ready. You could call them and you're like, okay, I'm here, because they're not out there and they didn't give you an address, and then they're like, oh, I'll be down. And then they take like 5-6 minutes. So they're not really respecting your time. They're not, they're tracking you, and they know that you're coming to them. But when you get out there, then they're taking their time. And it's, it's unfair. I mean, life could be unfair, but, is this the way that people operate? Some people respect you, some people don't. So there's a lot of things now that we're talking about this stuff, like about respect, that I think that is what kept me off Uber. Because the way that people treat you, whether you're driving, some people from the bar and they're like, I want to go get a prostitute. And you're like, I don't want to do that. I want to go get a prostitute. Like, I want to go, and eventually they're using things against you, like the rating system against you, to do things, because they're pretty much like manipulating you to do something, knowing that you have good ratings, and that that potentially they could say something that will affect you. So you have to be very, cautious and careful when you're driving people, because you're dealing with people that have more power than you on the Uber platform, that they could just say things. They could say you were drunk and you don't even drink. You're not even drinking while you're working. They could say you're drunk, and then Uber will take you off the platform for a few days to investigate. It happened to me before, being 4.95 driver with thousands of rides and driving at the time 4 years for them. And you're driving and you're trying to go get your bonus, and then you got your bonus, and then you wanted to be nice. You wanted to be nice. You went out there and said, okay, I'm going to give some rides to help out. I'm in San Francisco right now. I'm going to give 5 rides 6 rides, I'm just going to help out because I already got my bonus. And then after you complete those rides, then all of a sudden you can't get back online. And then you find out that there's some type of issue with your account and that you have to check your email. And now they're not revealing who said what happened. And then eventually you find out that somebody reported you as driving like you're drunk, and they said something like they used some word that was related to drunk, impaired. They said impaired, driving impaired. So they said my driver was driving impaired. And of course, if Uber hears that, they're going to take you off the system. And it doesn't even matter what you say, they're going to investigate it. And it's totally unfair because anybody could say anything. So I went to the veterans because I'm a veteran. I served in the military. I'm a veteran. I went to the VA hospital, got my blood drawn immediately. My blood drawn, and had a neurological test done, and it checked out, of course, because I wasn't drinking. But Uber kept me off the system for like 3 days. So what if you need money to pay your bills, you need to pay your rent, you have things to do, and then you can't drive because somebody was irresponsible. Think about it. Somebody was irresponsible and said you were drinking and that you were driving impaired. That people are not cautious with what they say. Somebody else might say that you had a conversation and they didn't like it, but then they're the ones that wanted to know stuff. They asked you about your rides and then, about your experiences on Uber. You share it and then they don't like it and then they report you. So it's the things that all the things that people did over time that really I reevaluated at the beginning of the year, and I didn't get out there. And all of a sudden I'm just out there driving. Like Uber gave out bonuses, and I think I qualified for the not the max one, but the one below it. I wish I qualified for a max one. If I didn't have like car issues, I would have done good to get that. And I still haven't been able to get out there. And I want to get out there because I'm not making money. I'm not doing as good as I used to. And it's not the job that I'd want because I know how people view Uber drivers. I mean, you go around saying like, oh, what do you do for a living? Because I'm a writer. But in order to become a writer, you need jobs on the side to survive until you make it. So doing Uber was flexible, but when I had car issues and other challenges that I wasn't out there maximizing my earnings and I was actually losing. So it's destroyed my credit. It's put me in a situation where people, view me as, less because I drive people and I try to make a difference. But, go tell somebody you're an Uber driver on a date. Go out there and try to, somebody's like, well, what do you do? Oh, I drive Uber. I mean, it shouldn't matter what other people think, but just think about it like your value as a person, as someone, because when you drive Uber, people should respect that because you're out there working and you're trying to make a difference, but people don't respect it. Because if they see you're struggling, they'll say like, well, don't you want to do something better in your life? And if you have like parents that look at you as being like a taxi driver, it's not good. So is this a collaboration of everything about driving Uber that would probably prevent me from getting back on the platform? You just don't know what it is. You could drive and then you just don't do it. Like we're in July and I've given 7 trips. I've had like 2,500, 3,000 trips by this time on some years. So there's definitely something wrong about it. And it's the way I was getting treated by the riders, and they would put you in situations. You could be driving somebody and then they're like panicking like you're taking them somewhere, but they told you to go to this address, and then they're so drunk and high on stuff, and then they're like threatening you and being all defensive, or and then you start to worry because you could get into situations. But you have to know how to handle that. If you have a rider that's acting up and they're like making it the ride a problem, and then that potentially they could say something because they're totally delusional, then you're going to drop them off with the police. You're not going to take any chances with your future, because you could drive Uber and all of a sudden be in jail for something, or get into a situation somebody could do something to you. You have to be careful. Everybody always thinks about like being unsafe with the driver. Think about being unsafe with the rider. Don't be paranoid, but be vigilant. I just think it's just a number of experiences that I've gone through and all the things that people put me through over time that just really wore me down, and I just got exhausted and tired, and go after the bonuses with all those algorithms and just all those little tricks of like trying to block you when they knew that you were getting close and sending you out far away to make sure that you didn't get it. And then people are saying it didn't happen. It does happen. It does happen. You just don't see it, and you're not open-minded about it. You got to be open-minded to look at the trips you're getting and why you're missing your bonus at the time that you want to get them. There's just a number of things that just really, it's almost like I just got jaded from it. I got tired. And now I realize that like that's what it was that kept me off the road. Because I want to get back driving an Uber. I was good at it, and I know how to do it. I know how to treat people. I knew how the system worked. And I just knew how to be effective driving Uber. And I knew how to make money, but I always had problems with the cars. And then my riders, you had to be like passive when you're driving Uber, because if you start speaking up and giving people a hard time, because you see on what's going on YouTube, people start yelling at the riders, saying they're trying to rip them off and scam them, and they call them all kind of names and stuff, and it's almost like what is this? I mean, you don't hear somebody at McDonald's or like Burger King like cursing out like a customer over like them trying to get over on them and stuff. So it's like, I mean, people just are not professional, and then they try to blame the rider, but at the same time they're talking down on the rider. I mean, yeah, the rider's going to act a certain way, of course, but you don't have to drive them. If you don't want to drive them, then don't drive them. Pull over, you're done. They can say anything they want, and if there's a problem, you call the police. That's it. Don't continue to drive somebody if you don't want to drive them and you feel like it's going to be a dangerous situation. Pull over, get out, you're done. Like, this ride's over. I've never had to do that, but one time I had to drop a woman off that was creating problems, and I dropped her off with the police though, but I'll drive drive most of my riders. I know how to handle it. There's some situations that get kind of sketchy, and you have to know how to operate. And I know how to deal with conflict. I've had videos on that on my channel, on my older Uber videos, on how to deal with conflict on Uber. And I think that's important. But dealing with all that conflict over time, and then trying to go after the bonuses, and then you have car issues, you want to go out and drive for one night, and all of a sudden something happens to your engine, and now you're taken off the road and you needed money. If that happens to you over and over and over again, you just get burnt out. I think I needed these last 6 months just to really take a break from Uber and to reevaluate and see. It's almost like having a relationship, a partnership. See, it's a partnership. You're a partner of Uber. So having a partnership, and then you reevaluate what's going on, and you spend time away from the platform to kind of really see if this is what you want to do, along the way, so it can help you to live your dream. And then you start to realize that you don't even know if you want to do it anymore, but you want to do it. So I might go out there and try it again and see how it works. And I'm going to use the get around car, and I'm going to have more images. I'm going to talk to you guys while I'm retrieving this get around car. I'm going to show you how it works on the app and how much money I make, and how much I spend and where I drive. I'm going to be very transparent in how this works. Like, use a get around car, where I get the car, what type of car I'm driving, how much I'm spending on it, how much money I'm making, what I have to do when I return the car. So it's a process. It's a process from beginning to end, because you have to be careful. If people start like smoking in the car or doing things, you could be on the hook for a lot of money for cleaning fees. And if you damage that car, somebody messes that car up, they could charge your account. So you have to be careful. Like, there's a lot of warnings in there, and I think that's probably why I didn't get on the road with Get Around, because they have all these like little, if you damage the car, it's like $1,000 or $2,000. If somebody lights a cigarette, it could be like $200 to $500. If there's a cleanup fee, there's all these things, but people leave the car a mess. I got a car one time. a get around car, and that thing was a mess. It was like a Mazda, one of those Mazda cars, and it was a disaster. I couldn't even believe that they allowed the driver to return the car that messy. It was just like it looked like it was an old car because of how messy it was. And then the gas tank wasn't totally full. So these are things you have to be careful with. You know, you have to make sure that you inspect the car at the beginning. Don't let things slide. If you have to spend an extra 10 minutes, don't think about the money. Think about the risk of not expecting it and finding something later on, and then they try to charge your account for it, like your bank account or whatever card you use, because you'll be on the hook for that. You'll be responsible for paying that. So we could try Get Around. I'm going to try Get Around and just make it about Get Around. Like, I'm going to start renting the cars more because the rates are cheaper, and I could probably try it again and see how it works. Like, get back. I feel like I'm a new driver again to get back, but I'll get back into it again and show you guys how much I make, what I go through, and this. It's almost like starting ride sharing over again, even though I have a lot of experience with it, and see if that could kind of re-spark my passion for driving with Uber like before, you know. So definitely check back and just be safe on the road. Know you have value as a driver. You are making a difference, and you're more than a driver. You're a human being. So don't let people walk over you and treat you bad because you matter. So until the next time, you know, check out some of my other Uber vlogs, and I have a Get Around vlog, and I'll be making more, you know, to guide you guys or to help you in a way, because you might be more experienced than me. If you're less experienced or more experienced, doesn't matter. You're still a ride-sharing driver. You're still an Uber driver. You're a Lyft driver. You have value. And speak up. Speak up if you have problems. Contact support. Go into the office. Treat it like a job. And just don't let people get over on you, because you deserve better. Have a great day.